Wouldn't you like to know what's in this cup? It's just Coke Zero. Hi, I'm Jenny. Thanks for stopping by my channel. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube. I kind of had to get my courage back to come back here. Not that anything bad happened last year when I was on YouTube, but it's hard. You know, you have to kind of get back into the swing of being on camera. But anyway, I'm back.
Here she comes to wreck the day!
I'm just gonna go through the books that I read in January and February. In January, I read 2 books, so we'll start there because that's the quickest. The first one was Made for Heaven by C.S. Lewis. I've never read any C.S. Lewis. I've never read the Chronicles of Narnia or anything, which I'd like to now. But C.S. Lewis was such a prolific writer, and he wrote a lot on Christianity and faith. And I'm on my own faith journey, which has been renewed in part by reading C.S. Lewis and reading other faith-related books. There are some lines in here that I just found so beautiful. In the book of Revelation, there is a promise from God that he will give you a stone with a new name on it. And C.S. Lewis says, "What can be more a man's own than this new name, which even in eternity remains a secret between God and him?" And I just thought that was really beautiful. And this book just speaks to the relationship between creator and the created. Touches on the idea of heaven being the true home. The soul feels this sense of homesickness that will only be satisfied when the soul is reunited with God. Identified with that sense of homesickness. It's something that I think keeps me drawn to my faith, of the sense that earth is wonderful and magical, and there's godliness to be found all over the place, but it doesn't feel like my true home. So as we await Jesus's return, books like this really just rekindle my faith. So I really love that book. The next book I read, it was a library copy, but it was The Will of the Many by...
I don't know who this man is. Sorry to this man.
I spent most of January reading that book. It's a very slow burn. Picks up its pace in the latter quarter of the novel, but it's set in this magical world that takes after a classical Roman-esque hierarchy and religious system and political system. And it's about this orphan named Viz Telemus, who no one knows who he is, but he is from a nation that was subsumed or conquered by the hierarchy, which I guess is a stand-in for the Roman Empire. He's kind of living as a lower class citizen in this society, and he meets this benefactor, whose name I can't remember now, who takes him on this kind of... He quickly elevates him to fulfill a political and militaristic goal, which involves a school for people who are going to learn to use this magical system called the Will. And it's very strange. If you've ever read a book about, you know, a disenfranchised student gets sent to this school for magic, and it's very cutthroat, it's very Hunger Games, and people might die. And I'm not crazy about those archetypes unless it blends with a great story. I wasn't that crazy about this book. However, I will say that I would like to read the second. The cliffhanger that it ends on, I just need to know what happens next. So I'll be looking out for that. But I'm glad that I didn't buy a copy, because I don't think I would necessarily want to keep it on my shelf for any reason. I think this was the first book I read in February. It was another C.S. Lewis book called The Screwtape Letters. I love this book. Whether you are Christian or not, I think it's just so funny. So basically it is the letters of a demon named Screwtape, and these are letters to his nephew Wormwood, who has this one charge, this man that he's basically trying to tempt into hell. And he is just, Screwtape just explains to him how you go about ensuring the damnation of a soul. And what's just so funny about it is the irony of how earnest C.S. Lewis writes in this voice of Screwtape, imagining what a demon would be, how he would be counseling his protege or whatever on how to go about the demonic infernal business of damning souls to hell. It's funny, it's philosophical, it's really about, we're talking not so much about personal sin, but these kind of great moral questions like adultery and selfishness and what it takes to pervert human goodness. There's a scene where Wormwood's charge has joined a church and Screwtape's saying, you know, this could be bad, but we could still use this to our advantage if we allow this person to give in to the temptation of feeling holier than thou or superior to people who are either A, not in the church, or B, who are in the church but act in a way that seems not sanctioned by God, to say the least. So you get criticisms on the kind of Christianity that gives Christianity a bad name, quite frankly. This is the book that kind of set me on my C.S. Lewis journey. 5 stars. 5 stars. Okay, so this... Look, I know. A certified book snob, sometimes me, I can admit it. I can admit it. A certified book snob is not supposed to go along with the hype, but I don't care. I don't care because Fourth Wing. Now I know what I said about Will of the Many, about the magical school and the Hunger Games-esque cutthroat people die. Now people do die in this book. This has got a George R.R. Martin stamp of approval of people just dying. But I loved it. I can't help it. I have a dragon tattooed on my hand, okay? So if dragons are involved, I'm gonna have to read it. Is the writing fantastic? No. But it is fast-paced. It is a little spicy. We follow Violet Sorrengail, who is the daughter of this famous general, and her mother would like her to go to train to be a dragon rider, but Violet takes after her late father, who was a bookworm. So she wanted to go into a different faction of government with the scribe quadrant, and they record the wars and they keep track of the documentation. Violet's older sister Mira is a rider. She is a decorated soldier, and she's much more like their late brother Brennan, who of course was a rider. So Violet's struggling with the whole teenage, well not teenage, she's like 21, rebellion of I'm not gonna be what my parents want me to be kind of thing. But when she gets to Basgiath War College, she is taken on this crazy ride of self-discovery, discovering that she's stronger than she is. The dragons are so fun. They connect with their riders through this kind of telepathic thing. There's a magic system where the riders are granted, I shouldn't be giving too much away. I mean, you basically get where this is going. Violet was also born with some unspecified immunocompromisation, some sort of disability that makes her very weak. It gives her gold hair at the end of her hair is sorry, not gold, silver. I'm not gonna say that I didn't do a fan thing and like get silver tip braids put in my hair for that reason. I would never do that. I'm 35. The silent, sullen Xaden Ryerson. Xaden Holla. Never mind, I'm married. But he is, I don't know, the Edward Cullen of Fourth Wing. You know, he's dangerous. He is emotionally mature in a way. And he leads a small rebellion of students who are the sons and daughters of the previous rebellion, who led the previous rebellion. So Violet and her mom, they hate him. Yeah, no, they're after her. They want to kill her. Every day of Violet's life is literal survival mode where is someone going to try and kill her? Like in one of her first matches, like fighting matches, she gets her arm broken just for funsies. So it's that kind of book. What I love about it, I guess, is just its pacing. I love the dragons. I love the world. I love the magic system. I love the political intrigue. Not too sure when exactly this takes place. Like there's no technology or computers or phones or anything like that. So who's to say really when this is kind of loosely based on? But I did love these books. I got the second one, of course. She's thick. They're thick. They're thick, but they don't take long to read. And shout out to Shannon, who convinced me to give these a try. Speaking of Shannon, hi Shannon. She sent me this in a little package. We like to send each other books and letters from time to time. She got it signed for me. This is In on the Great Joke by Laura Broadbent, who is a Canadian writer. This is published by Coach House Books. Now, just take a look at the tabbing. There's a lot of tabbing happening. It's cynical, it's sarcastic, it equates, life to this big cosmic kind of accident or joke. So there's a lot of absurdity to it, but it's really tender. She takes on that joke, and it's beautifully written. I mean, poetry is really tough for many people. We had the rise of the Instagram poets. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was an Instagram poet. But with the rise of the Instagram poets, which introduced us to a very commercialized, snippy form of poetry that a lot of people didn't appreciate, that looked nothing like the classical poets that we know and love, like Keats and Emily Dickinson and whatever. The closest comparison I would give this is Emily Dickinson, actually. The blurb on the back gives a slight comparison to Clarice Lispector. I advocate for that. I agree with that. Clarice Lispector is cerebral and pensive, a little depressing, but the writing is just so sparkling. And I think Laura Broadbent does things with language where it just creates this visceral sensation that I think is really hard to accomplish, especially in a chapbook. If you're looking for a short and sweet poetry collection, I would recommend this, especially if you have any nihilistic tendencies. I don't have those so much anymore, but I do relate to them from time to time. Next, we have The Taiga Syndrome by Cristina Rivera Garza. Again, on the back, allusion to Jorge Luis Borges and Clarice Lispector. What is it with Clarice Lispector? I need to finish reading her books. I've read a couple. I've read 3. I've read Agua Viva, Hour of the Star, Passion According to GH. So this is about a woman who was previously a private investigator. She's now a writer, kind of living in obscurity, but someone tracks her down to send her to the Taiga area to find his missing wife / girlfriend. So she decides to take the job, and she's not sure why, but she's just very compelled, maybe / enchanted by this man to take the job. And when she gets there, she has this translator who helps her along to translate the local dialect. And it's a very strange fever dream of a novel. I come out of this still not entirely sure what I read or what the point was. But it does have some really beautiful language in it. So I can't say I loved it. I can't say I liked it. But it was a nice way to pass some time. If you do like kind of short A24-esque books, you might want to give this one a try. I thought this was hilarious. I don't know where I got this from. Fatale by Jean Patrick Manchette. So it's about a young assassin, spy-ish lady. Her MO is to find these little backwater towns that have, local intrigue and mystery and crime, and suss it out and just kill people, basically. It's not sure who her employer is or why she does what she does, but she's motivated by her very own. It says she's become the avenging angel of her own nihilism. She sows discord when she's there. She gets really just into the upper echelon of this little society. It's a little town, but there are rich people, and there's a mayor, and there's the town creep weirdo hermit who's always stepping out and saying extremely weird things. And she gets intertwined with all of them. In the end, people die, of course. But what I loved about this book is just that sense of why is she doing what she does. It's not clear. And as you try to trace, is this motivated by money? Not necessarily. She is hoping to get paid, and she does, but that doesn't seem to be her only motivation for doing what she does. This book really reminded me of one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Killing Eve. There's something spicy about it too. There's nothing explicitly sexual about this book. I think it's just the mystique of this woman. I loved it. It was short, it was sweet. NYRB never fails. And that's what I read in February. Yeah, have you read any of these? Have I convinced you to read any of them? Are you thinking about trying Fourth Wing, but you are possibly a book snob and you're like, should I read that? Read it. It's actually a lot of fun. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.